I'm just going to tell my half of the story. I did not instruct the security official to go up and talk to them. I do not hate children. That is Chappell Roan on her Instagram story on March 22, 2026, trying to put out a fire that she did not see coming. Because what started as a quiet breakfast at a hotel in Brazil turned into one of the ugliest celebrity controversies of the year when an 11-year-old girl walked toward Chappell's table to get a look at the singer she admired, and a security guard stepped in and made that little girl cry. And when the girl's mother went public with what happened, Chappell denied knowing anything about it. She said it was not her security. She said she was not aware of the interaction. But there is a problem with that story, because the photos from that hotel tell a very different version of events. And now the internet is split between people who believe Chappell and people who think she is lying to protect herself from the consequences of what happened to Jude Law's daughter. So let me walk you through exactly what went down, because this story moved fast and the details matter. On March 21, 2026, Chappell Roan was in Brazil for her Lollapalooza performance. She was eating at her hotel when Jude Law, the 11-year-old daughter of actor Jude Law and his ex-partner Harding, reportedly walked toward Chappell's table. Ada was not rushing the table. She was not screaming or demanding a photo. She was a child at the same hotel who wanted to see a singer she liked up close. And before she got anywhere near Chappell, a security guard intercepted her. Now, the security guard in question is not some random guy. His name is Pascal Duvier, and if that name sounds familiar, it is because he was Kim Kardashian's personal bodyguard during the 2016 Paris robbery. He is one of the most well-known celebrity protection agents in the world. And according to multiple accounts, Pascal approached Ada and her mother Catherine and scolded them for disrespecting the artist's space. He did not politely redirect them. He did not quietly ask them to give the table some room. Multiple witnesses described the interaction as aggressive and intimidating, and the result was an 11-year-old girl in tears. Harding's husband, soccer star Jorginho, later said the interaction was so upsetting that the family decided not to attend Chappell's concert that night, even though they had tickets. And then Harding went public. She posted a video on TikTok and gave statements to E! News on March 23rd, describing what happened to her daughter. She did not hold back. She said, "I do not know if it was her personal security guard, but he was with her. That is all I know. Would he do that if he did not have her authority? I do not know." And that question, would he do that without her authority, is the one that has driven this entire controversy, because it cuts right to the heart of what people are really asking. Even if Chappell did not personally tell this man to confront Ada, is she responsible for the behavior of the people protecting her? Chappell responded on her Instagram stories the next day. She said she did not instruct the security official to approach the family. She said it was not her personal security, and she said she does not hate children, but she did not apologize, not directly. What she offered was closer to an acknowledgement than a genuine apology, and people noticed. One person on Reddit wrote, "The 'I am sorry if you were uncomfortable' line is the classic non-apology apology. Chappell's PR team is fighting for their lives." Another person on TikTok said, "So a 10-year-old was crying and Chappell just sat there eating her eggs? That is cold even for a Midwest princess." And then came the photos. Because paparazzi and fan photos from the hotel that morning show Pascal Duvier standing directly behind Chappell's chair in the minutes before the incident. Not across the room, not at a separate table, directly behind her, close enough to have a conversation, close enough that the idea she had no idea who he was or that he was there stretches credibility to its breaking point. Now, is Chappell technically telling the truth when she says he was not her personal security hire? Maybe. Pascal Duvier released his own statement on March 26th, saying he was working for another individual at the hotel and that he made a judgment call to approach the family independently. He called the accusations against him defamation, but he refused to name who he was actually working for, and he did not deny that he was physically positioned next to Chappell when the incident occurred. So here is where the lying accusation comes from. Chappell said she was not aware of the interaction, but the man who caused the interaction was standing behind her chair. Chappell said it was not her security, but the man was visually and physically protecting her space. It is the kind of technically not a lie, but also not the truth situation that the internet eats alive. Because even if every word Chappell said is factually accurate, the spirit of what she communicated was, "I had nothing to do with this." And the photos suggest otherwise. And this is where the broader pattern becomes impossible to ignore. Because this is not the first time Chappell Roan has been at the center of a controversy about how she interacts with the people around her. In August 2024, at the height of her meteoric rise after Good Luck Babe went viral and she became one of the biggest breakout stars in the world, Chappell posted a series of TikToks telling fans not to approach her in public. She said she did not owe anyone a photo or a conversation just because she makes music. And on one level, she was absolutely right. Celebrities are human beings. They deserve personal space. They deserve to eat a meal without being interrupted. That is a reasonable and defensible position. But the way she delivered it rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. The tone was not, "Hey, I am setting a healthy boundary." The tone was, "Do not talk to me." And the public reaction split down the middle. Half the internet praised her for being honest about the realities of fame. The other half said she was being ungrateful to the fans who made her career possible. Then, in September 2024, at the VMAs, she told a photographer to shut the expletive up after they yelled at her on the red carpet. Again, photographers can be aggressive. Red carpets are chaotic. But the clip went viral and added another data point to the emerging narrative that Chappell Roan has a problem with how she treats people. And now the Ada Law incident has landed on top of all of that. And the reason it hits differently is because of who was affected. This was not a pushy fan. This was not a paparazzi photographer yelling at her. This was a child. An 11-year-old girl who wanted to see a singer she liked. And whether Chappell personally directed the confrontation or not, the result was a little girl crying in a hotel lobby because the people around Chappell Roan decided that the artist's breakfast was more important than a child's feelings. And to a lot of people, the fact that Chappell's first instinct was to distance herself from responsibility, rather than simply say, "I am sorry that happened to your daughter," that is inexcusable. Tells them everything they need to know. One person on YouTube captured what a lot of the commentary community has been saying. They wrote, "It is the pattern. First the ranting about fans, then the red carpet snaps, now this. The fame is hard act is getting old." And someone on Twitter pushed back in Chappell's defense, writing, "People are acting like she personally slapped the kid. If she did not hire him, she is not responsible for him being a jerk." And that defense has some merit. But the counter-argument is equally strong. If a bodyguard is standing over your shoulder for 2 hours and then makes a child cry on your behalf, saying, "I did not know he was there," feels less like honesty and more like plausible deniability. And then there is the context that some witnesses on Reddit have added. Because according to a few accounts from people who claim to have been at the hotel that morning, Ada was not just innocently walking by. Some say she was trying to take a photo of Chappell without asking, which is what triggered the security response. If that is true, it adds nuance to the situation. A security guard telling someone not to take unauthorized photos is a very different thing from a security guard aggressively scolding a child for existing near a celebrity. But even in that scenario, the response was disproportionate. You do not make an 11-year-old cry because she tried to sneak a picture of a singer. You walk over calmly and say, "Hey, she is eating right now, maybe later." That is what a professional does. Jude Law himself has stayed completely silent. He has not posted anything. He has not released a statement. He has not done an interview. And that silence is probably strategic. Getting into a public war with one of the biggest pop stars in the world over an incident at a hotel in Brazil would only draw more attention to his daughter, which is the opposite of what any protective parent would want. But his current wife and Harding have both made it clear through their public statements and social media activity that the family is not letting this go quietly. The career impact so far appears limited. Chappell's ticket sales remain strong. Her streaming numbers have not taken a noticeable hit, but her likability index in pop culture communities has taken real damage. On Reddit, particularly in subreddits like Pop Culture Chat and Popheads, the sentiment has shifted from "she is refreshingly honest about fame" to "she is antagonistic and difficult." And in the commentary world, the consensus is forming that Chappell Roan is building a reputation that will eventually catch up with her. Because the public will tolerate a lot from an artist they love. They will tolerate boundary setting. They will tolerate attitude. They will even tolerate rudeness if the music is good enough. But the one thing the public will not tolerate is the perception that you made a child cry and then lied about it. So I want to know what you think. Do you believe Chappell's version of events, or do you think the photos tell a different story? And is there a point where setting boundaries as a celebrity crosses the line into just being unkind to the people around you? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and I will catch you all in the next one.